Welcome back to my channel. I am 9th House Jupiter, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about the Sagittarius moon. So if you've looked at your chart and you realise that your moon is in Sagittarius, or you know a Sagittarius moon and you're trying to get to understand them on a much deeper level, then this video here is going to be for you. Now, as some of you may know, some of you may not know, the moon sign is one of the most interesting things to know about yourself and somebody else in a birth chart, because this is like one of the most personal placements to you. It's how you feel emotionally inside, and I think that's really interesting because the moon is the inner part of us, the more private, hidden side. Really, it's not what people see when they first meet you, because that is your rising sign. It's not really how you even express yourself, because that is your sun sign. So the moon sign essentially is our emotions, our feelings, what our needs are in this lifetime. It's how we react to things, and also our moon sign is going to give us a really good indication as to how we were raised as a baby, what type of nourishment we received, what type of mother that we had. Now, before we just get into the video, I just want to throw it out there. I have a stellium in Sagittarius, and I, of course, have Jupiter in my 9th house. So the Sagittarius zodiac sign is one I feel I understand very well and can explain. So let's have a look at what it's like to have your moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a male mutable fire sign that's ruled by Jupiter. So we're talking about mutable energy here mixing with the moon and the emotions and feelings. So right away, these are the type of people that when it comes to their emotions and how they react to things, they can be pretty changeable, adaptable and fluid of how they're feeling about things, because the mutable modality is ruling over the inner side of how they feel. Now let's look at Jupiter for a second. Jupiter, what a planet! Jupiter is the planet of good luck, fortune, abundance, more, expansion, growth, wisdom, knowledge. It's also a very spiritual planet. It is the biggest gas giant sitting in our solar system. Wherever Jupiter falls in your chart, it's going to be expanding that area of life, and this is the planet that's ruling over the sign of Sag. So straight away, these are the bigger personality type people and can often have pretty extreme feelings, actually, whether it's one way or another. These are people that feel things on an expansive viewpoint, because we are essentially talking about a Jupiter moon here. So they are, you know, the bigger than life personality type people. As a rule, very happy, jovial, upbeat, bubbly, positive vibes type people, up for a laugh. Because this is a fire moon, they can be pretty reactive and expressive when it comes to their emotions. I mean, I do think fire moons, fire signs do have an emotional side and definitely come with a level of sensitivity, because, you know, fire is passion, fire is our passion, and passion is a very strong emotion as it is. And the fire element, the actual element of fire, deals with the seeing and the feeling, but there is a difference with the fire feeling and the water feeling. For example, like the water signs, they like to feel things, just to feel the emotion and be in it, whereas fire fills with intent and action, because fire is action and passion. Sagittarius is one of the most happy-go-lucky, free-flowing type of energies that are out there until they get angry, and then, you know, you're gonna meet another side to the Sagittarius archetype. I mean, this is mutable, right? So, you know, mutable, there are different sides to the same person. So, you know, Sag moons, you're going to be, as a rule, happy-go-lucky, free, but when you get angry, completely different side comes out. You do have an argumentative and borderline aggressive side to you, really. I mean, it's how the element of fire plays out. The other fire moons, Aries, Leo, they have similar traits. Fire moons can get aggressive when they're reacting, and that they can get pretty angry. I mean, Sagittarius is, you know, we tend to have a tendency to kind of think that we're always right about things. I wonder where that comes from sometimes. I just think, you know, we've got, high morals, or what we think is right or wrong. So we will argue a point. It can definitely be a bit like a dog with a bone and don't know when to stop. But you know, if the Sag archetype is allowed to get angry, we're talking about Jupiter ruling here, expansive, they can get really mad. And anyhow, we're going to mix, if you are a Sagittarius moon, for example, and you're Aries Mercury Sun and a Taurus rising, then it's a whole different world of angry right there. When these people go, that they're gonna pop off like you've never seen, really. But it is a trait of how the fire moon plays out. So if you want to argue with the Sagittarius moon, then you better be prepared for the long call and the exaggerations sometimes that will get thrown into an argument, and sometimes the sheer volume and aggression that might come out from a Sagittarius moon. Because, you know, I bet Sagittarius moons from especially when you were younger, in your younger days, your mouth got you in trouble. It's the things that they say. Sagittarius can be kind of blunt and direct. Actually, fire signs can be. It's a trait of how the fire signs play out. So I'm just saying, if you want to argue with a Sagittarius, then I just hope you got thick skin. But at the same time, a Sagittarius in the middle of an argument might be cussing somebody out and say something that's quite harsh, but at the same time really funny, because, and then you can both end up just like laughing in the middle of an argument, because Sagittariuses, Sag archetypes are known as the comedians, always up for a laugh. You probably love comedy films and love anybody that can make you laugh, like these type of people that can be sitting there by themselves, minding their own business, think of something funny and burst out into laughter. Or, you know, Sagittarius is like, because you are the louder type of people, you have got the male moon, extroverted energy ruling the inside. The moon is the inner side of us, so on the inside you are a bit more of an extroverted person. So, you know, I like proper belly laugh type people, loud. You know sometimes when people can't get their story out because they're just laughing too much, and by the time we've got the story out, it's probably not even that funny. The funniest part is watching them laugh, trying to get it out. That's Sagittarius all over. And because of this sort of jovial, joyful, sort of happy nature that Sagittarius moons have, it's one of the reasons why they might come across as if they're not taking something that serious, really, or when it comes to emotions, they might not seem to take it that serious, but because they can have a tendency to sort of laugh things off, like, you know, it's a bit of a, what's the phrase? Coping mechanism. That was what I was looking for, the coping mechanism. It's one of the coping mechanisms for a Sagittarius is to laugh things off. And as I said, these people live on the lighter side of life, the brighter side of life. They prefer to be cheery. So that's why they can sometimes seem as if they're not really in tune with their emotions, or come across a bit detached from their emotions, but they're not. They definitely do feel things. We're talking about Jupiter ruling over emotions and feelings, so they do feel things on a deep level, but they just won't dwell in it. You know, fire moons don't dwell, really. You know, they'll feel it, they'll deal with it, and then they want to move on to something new. And I think, you know, because one of the things that Sagittarius moons need is, of course, adventure. Especially if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed emotionally, you might be the type of person like, I'm off. I need to go somewhere else for a couple of days. I'll see you in a few days. I'm going. Just go to another city. Just go somewhere else. Drive somewhere just to get out and about. Because these are people that love adventure. They love freedom. They love to explore. Let's think about it. 9th house. Jupiter and Sag all over the 9th house. What's the 9th house all about? This is the house of travel, long distance travel. This house deals with people from other cultures, other religions. This is a very philosophical house. It's a very spiritual house. It's a house of higher learning, higher knowledge, enlightenment, optimism. This is what happens with all of the 9th house topics. So with these topics being on the inner side of someone, they have this need to want to explore and travel and learn, because Sagittarius archetypes are wise. Sagittarius love to learn things like astrology, philosophy, religion, etc. They like to learn the deeper meanings of life. These are the how, what, where, when people, like, how did that get there? Why are we here? What is this human form that I'm in? What is this purpose? What is this world? There has to be an archetype in the zodiac that deals with the deeper, more out there topics, because Jupiter is a very generous and, you know, giving planet. It's the planet of abundance, and especially when it comes, Sag moons have a generous side to them, of course, with people that they live around them. But when it comes to knowledge, when they've learned something, they want to spit that back out. They want to teach, they want to share, they want to learn. Me, Jupiter in my ninth house. This is what I want to express. I want to tell people. I feel like I've got messages to share, and this is why I started this channel, for example. But, you know, let's think about Gemini. Gemini is the opposite to Sagittarius. They are very intelligent people, and they like to know a little about a lot. They love learning. They're very curious minded. They love to seek, and they love to communicate too. They love to talk about what they've just learned, and that's exactly the same as Sagittarius is. It's the opposite. They share the same traits. Sagittarius just tend to go a little bit deeper with things, because we're talking about a planet here that has no boundaries. Jupiter has no boundaries. Jupiter is not interested at all by the little details of, you know, formulated plans. Like, Jupiter does not care about that, because let's think about the symbol. The symbol is an arrow pointing to the stars, shooting upwards to show that, you know, they just dream big, think big, and they're just like, I want to do that. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but that's what I want to do, and I'm going to go there. And, you know, Jupiter being the good luck and fortune planet, you know, Sagittarius moon, you must understand from within, you probably already do, but if in case you don't, you know, think lucky, be lucky. You guys naturally have this. You've probably felt lucky from quite a young age. I mean, myself as a Sagittarius, I know from a very young girl, in so many situations, I've always just felt lucky. I can't even explain why. And the very first memory of weird things like this happen, that, you know, law of attraction, if you think about something, it just happens. I entered this competition when I was in, like, reception year 1, sort of about 5, 6. And I remember this drawing that I did. It was this really colourful, multicoloured neon thing, and it was a competition, and we entered. And I don't know why, but when I entered it, I knew I was going to win. I did. I knew that I was going to win. Don't ask me why. I was just sitting there. I was like, I know my name's going to get called. Whose name got called? Mine. I was like, ah! So I'm just, yeah, that's a really silly example there. But, you know, just those little things in life. Think lucky, be lucky. Sagittarius moons, you understand what that means, and you should definitely be practicing it. You guys should be the masters of manifesting things into your life. So please make sure you're doing that and channeling that beautiful Jupiter energy you've got inside. Now, of course, Sagittarius are known for being pretty honest and blunt and direct, and will pretty much speak their mind and say what they think. And as I said earlier, probably found oftentimes in your life that you've just put your foot in it, because Sagittarius will tend to just call it out, address the elephant in the room. Like, these people will ask those tougher, more direct questions. Like, they don't have time for bullshit. They're not here for you know, if they think something needs to be cleared, and the air needs to be cleared, or something needs to be said that's not being said, you can trust a Sagittarius archetype to be that person that will address that issue, because they are on a mission in this lifetime to be honest. These are, you know, Sagittarius, ninth house, truth seekers, honesty. So, you know, if you're going to ask a Sagittarius moon or a Sagittarius archetype their opinion, then you need to be prepared for the bluntness and the honesty that's going to come. They're just going to say it, not the best at sugarcoating things, really. And, you know, I know this from my own personal experiences, that, you know, and you definitely need to work on the delivery sometimes. And it's hard though, isn't it, when you know, you can be talking to someone and it's just not the right time to say something, but you're like, it's burning things inside, and before you know it, you've said it, because there isn't a filter there. So, you know, some people that are a bit less, that are more sensitive, than you are, you know, it can mind a person their feelings, but it's not from a place, Sagittarius is not mean, it's not from a place where they're trying to be mean and cause ill harm, it's their truth, and that's just what they want to speak. Now, depending on your chart as a whole and what other aspects you've got, what your sun and, you know, your rising signs are, is going to depend on how much Sag energy sort of plays out in you. But Sag moon, Sag archetypes, I can imagine for many times in your life, you've been told that you're just too loud, too much, like you're too over the top, you're too overwhelming, like turn it down, because you know, it is big personality energy. It can be quite a lot for people to take on. It can be quite overwhelming and draining for people. So Sagittarius is, you just have to make sure that, you know, you don't change. You have to authentically be yourself, because it would kill you anyway. Like someone told you, you had to be really quiet for a little bit, and, you know, it's not going to last long. I give you 5 minutes for you back, you know, but sometimes, you know, the phrase, there is a time and a place, and sometimes you have to be able to reel it in a little bit in certain situations, but, you know, without losing that authenticity that is yourself. Like, here's an example. I went for a job interview recently for a job that I really wanted to do. It was an assessment day, so you're there all day, really intense. And the first part was to give a life map presentation of yourself. So I'm like, I'm going to present myself. Okay, let's go. So, you know, I was there. I just point out, I did spend the first 15 years of my life dancing on stage, so I definitely can be a bit more theatrical, and some of the placements in my chart were in that way, but I was full energy. I wanted to make sure that I presented myself in the best way that I could and kept it lively. And at the end of this presentation, the guy sat there, the interviewer, and he just said, "You've made me feel like I need to go and lie down." And he's like, "I'm going to give you some really honest feedback right now. It was too much, like it was too over the top. If you carry on like that throughout the rest of the day, then you're not going to do very, very well here. You're not going to get on very far." And I still had, you know, like 3 rounds to go. So when he walked out of the room, you know, I had to think about that for a second. Like, he just said I was too much. You know, but I didn't think I was too much. I wanted to make sure I was being me. And I was thinking, tone it down. Like, you know, obviously I'm at an interview, so I'm not being too over the top, but I'm still probably being a bit saggy. And I just thought to myself, well, I can't change it. That's me being myself has got me wherever I've got to in life. So I'm just going to stick at it. And I went through the rest of the day, continued to be myself, answered things in the way exactly how I would. I didn't try and suddenly, you know, restrict all of that and be all serious, because it's just not me. That's not what they're going to get. I can't pretend to be all serious and then I get the job and they're like, "Oh wow, who's this more lively character?" And anyway, long story short, I got the job because I really wanted this job. But, you know, it's just the point that some people can't handle it. Some people don't like it. And you got to make sure you are surrounding yourself with people that can handle this, and just knowing to tone it down sometimes. It's hard, but we need to do it. As I said earlier, it does depend on your chart as a whole to how this moon sign is going to play out, because, you know, for example, if you were a Libra rising and Libra sun, then you're going to be less direct actually and less argumentative, because it's more of a people-pleasing energy. Or if you've got Saturn conjunct your moon, or, you know, squaring, working against your moon, then it's going to be reserving and blocking that Jupiter energy to a degree. If you had your moon in the 4th house or even the 12th house, then you're going to be a much more sensitive and, you know, potentially moody Sagittarius moon. And if you're a Sagittarius moon and you've got your sun sign in a fire sign, you know, mixed with Mars and Aries, if you're a Mars and Aries Sag moon, then run, do not argue with these people, because that's the definition of someone who's really blunt. But the point is, where's your moon? What house is your moon in? What else is going on in your chart? Because that's going to depend on how it plays out. So let me know in the comments. One thing a Sagittarius moon is going to need is freedom. Why? Because 9th house, Sagittarius, deals with freedom. These people need to be free. This is mutable fire moon that we're talking about here. So mutable is changeable, adaptable and fluid. They don't stay put in anything for any one time, because they'd get bored actually if they did. And they are highly adaptable people, can adapt to new situations and environments really well. But in terms of a relationship and partnership, a Sagittarius moon does not need someone who won't let them go off and do what they want to do. These people like to explore. They like to go off with their partner. You know, they're going to want to go off on a little adventure with you, go off for the weekend, go and see new cities. You know, they'd be very unhappy in a situation where they didn't have the freedom to kind of be authentically who they are on the inside, whether that's to be, you know, silly and loud, laugh, dance, go off somewhere. Like, restricting a Sagittarius moon is just going to make them want to explode and run away and leave. Really, it's just it's not what they need. These people want to explore. They love an adventure. They need it. They find it very interesting to go to another city and see something brand new, someone of another culture, hear another language. Like, let's talk about that for a second. Like, because the ninth house is dealing with other cultures, and you know, you guys appreciate and probably have a love for people who do come from a different language. Anyhow, you've got, you know, you're a Sag moon in the ninth, Venus in the ninth mixed with that, then you're probably with someone that's from a different country that is different from your own, because that's what that's going to mean. You're attracted to it, you like it, you get it, because this is the mutable moon in Sagittarius, who are the freedom lovers. Like, it's not, they don't commit to relationships that easily. Really, they've got to really like someone to be with them. As a rule, these are people that, you know, they won't be with somebody unless there's something there where they know they can explore and grow the future, because they're always dealing with the future. These people think future thoughts. That's what the ninth house and Sagittarius is all about. But they need a partner who can trust them to go off, do what they want, knowing that they're going to come back. They're not going to run off. Like, that's what they're going to need to feel comfortable. And another thing that Sagittarius is, you know, in general, Sag archetypes aren't really, you know, ones for loving responsibility, to be honest. So in a partnership, they'd love someone who can help with the sort of mundane, boring tasks of life. Like, that's what they want. They are very generous people. So if you're in a relationship with them, then they are probably very generous to you. Like, oh, here, have this, babe, let's go here. Oh, I'm going to take us here, let's do this. You also would want a partner that you could learn with and grow with and talk with and, you know, go deep with on an intellectual level. It'd be, if your partner thought everything that you was into was completely weird, like, it just put you off, because you understand the deeper meaning of life. And, you know, the fire element, again, let's look at the fire aspect of this Sagittarius moon. Fire is a super motivating energy. Fire can literally speak life into people, you know. Like, we used to have something on the TV here in the UK when I was a child called Mr. Motivator, like. And he used to wear, you know, the old school workout outfits and be on the news in the morning and just do like a 15-minute workout. And when I was a kid, I used to be like, yeah. Anyway, that's kind of like Sagittarius sort of energy to me. It just pops into my mind. But they're very motivating people. They know how to get things going. So if your mother was a Sagittarius moon, then she would be like so supportive to you, because you know, she'd be your number one fan. If you had any dreams or goals or achievements, they're going to be just as, they're going to act as if it was them taking part in the experience, and they're going to want you to win, you know, because they will share their luck and their generosity and their joy. They will share that out. Make sure that you're sharing it with people who deserve it, because it's such a beautiful, pure, big, honest, optimistic energy. And just make sure you're sharing that with, you know, people that deserve it. But let's talk about Sagittarius. So if you're a Sagittarius moon, then let's talk about how your mum may have been. You know, she would have been a Sagittarius dominated woman in some sort of way, you know, sun, moon or rising. She would have been a Sagittarius, or have Jupiter prominently aspecting in her main planets in some way, or a stellium in the ninth house, for example. There'll be some sort of Sagittarius there. And that's also going to mean, because this is the fire, male dominant energy, so your mother or whoever raised you, really, because I always say mother, but the moon sign isn't always to do with the actual physicalness of it being a woman. It could have been a male, but the energy came from Sag. That's how it works. So she would have been like joyful, playful, larger than life type person, wise, maybe a bit preachy, maybe a bit like preachy and teachy, but you know, a very warm, welcoming person. If it's more negatively aspected, then you might have actually had a very distant relationship with your mum, because when it's more positively aspected, you're going to have loved your mum. You're like really close, like your mum was your friend, like you went off, you did adventures, she took you out traveling, like she pushed other cultures on you. She was like, oh, make sure you embrace, basically, to embrace people and life and things and explore that adventurous, fun-loving energy. But if it's more negatively aspected, then, as I just said, a bit more of a distant relationship with the mother, or she might have just been off traveling all the time, like not really there for you, and especially emotionally distant, like you were just not able to be close with her in whatever way, and probably a pretty fiery relationship too. But it depends completely on your chart as a whole and all of your aspects, so of how your relationship plays out with your mum. So, you know, let me know in the comments, how was the relationship with your mom? Sagittarius moons and Sagittarius archetypes definitely have a tendency to be overindulgent. Let's talk about that for a second. When you like something, when you love something, you love it. And you want it all the time, and you want more. And it's like, there's no boundaries, there's no limits there. Quite an addictive personality. And like, anyhow, you're a Sagittarius moon mixed with some Taurus and Pisces energy, then, oh, you've just got, you like what you like, and you like to have a lot of it, and you do it all the time. So like, that's just another thing to watch out for, not be overindulgent. I know I struggle with it massively. Like, no matter what it is, food or going somewhere or watching a certain type of program, I'll just watch loads of them or eat loads of it until I get bored of it, which takes a while, and then I move on to something different. I replace it with something else. That might just be me, because I'm more of an exaggerated Sag, just because of my placements. But for most Sag moons, you might have some overindulgent tendencies. So I'm gonna leave it there, guys. If there was anything that I said that you liked or could relate to, then drop me a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then of course subscribe and come with me on my astro journey through YouTube. And I just want to give a quick shout out to all you people out there that have subscribed to me. Like, thank you so much. I mean, I think it's, being a Sagittarius, I think it's amazing that I can stand here in my house and spread a message to someone potentially, you know, thousands of miles away from me. Like, that is so cool and intriguing to my mind. But anyway, look, tangent, rolling on, stay on topic. Coming up in my next video is going to be the Capricorn moon. So I'll see you in my next video.